Mr. Richard Thompson had just passed Jack, a homeless man holding up a sign to ask for money, help, or food. Richard had felt sorry for the man, and as he helped him, he couldn't help but let his eye fall on the chain hanging around his neck. As a renowned jeweler, he had come across an image of the necklace before. "Where did this come from?" Mr. Thompson asked, unable to hide his fascination in seeing it in person. Before we start, smash the like button, and make sure to subscribe if you haven't, and hit that notification bell so that you won't miss any new stories. He was always reluctant to give money to the homeless, but he didn't have anything against getting them something to eat. The homeless man looked up, confused as he gauged why Mr. Thompson was approaching him. Richard crouched down so he was at eye level with the man. He put on a kind smile as he offered the sandwich. "I don't know if you're hungry, but I think every little bit might help," he said as the man gingerly took it. "Thank you, sir," the man said as he took the sandwich, his eyes wide at the act of kindness. "You okay, sir?" Jack asked, his brow furrowed by the strange look Richard was giving his neck. Richard was quick to shake his head and let go of Jack's hand. "Sorry, Jack. He paused for a second. Jack seemed nice, but what if he had stolen this chain? He knew he had to tread carefully. "Jack, would you mind going to my shop with me?" Richard asked, a smile on his lips, and it stunned Jack. He had no idea why Richard would want him to go to his jewelry shop, but still, he agreed. No clue what would be waiting for him there. Richard almost felt bad for the guy, as he was being, well, naive. He opened the door for Jack, who was waiting in front of his store, and let him in. Jack's eyes widened at the sight of the jewels lining the walls and inside glass casings. "Wow," he said breathlessly, and Richard smiled. He was very proud of his collection, even though most of it was for sale if people gave the right price. "I'm sorry for my tone," Richard said with a small laugh. "I must say I am very intrigued by the chain and pendant around your neck. Would you mind if I take a closer look?" "Of course. I have always loved it ever since I got it." "Sure, you can see it." He looked over the pendant and saw the marking on the metal, and his breathing halted for a moment. This was a palladium necklace, a precious platinum metal. This was the exact piece that had been reported missing for nearly a decade. Richard knew exactly what he had to do. He smiled at Jack when he took off the magnifying glasses, let one hand, which wasn't holding the pendant, trail below his desk, and pressed the button. This way, the police would get notified and be on their way immediately. "It is a beautiful piece, Jack," Richard said, and Jack returned the smile. "Wherever did you get it from?" "I got it from someone I called a friend many years ago. I know it is beautiful, but it is not for sale. I'm sorry," Jack said as he waited for Richard to return it. This pendant was worth multiple thousands of dollars and refused to depart with it. The quiet of the shop was shattered by the sound of the front door opening. 2 police officers entered, their presence immediately filling the space. "What's going on? Why are the police here?" The policemen approached, their expressions stern. "Jack Ridges?" one of them asked. Jack nodded, his heart racing, the situation spiraling beyond his understanding. The officers gently but firmly explained that Jack needed to come with them for questioning. As the police car drove away, Richard stood frozen, the image of Jack's confused and fearful face etched in his mind. At the police station, Jack sat in a stark interrogation room, his hands nervously fidgeting. The detective's questions were direct, probing. "How did you come by this pendant, Mr. Ridges?" Jack's response was simple yet firm. "It was a gift." The detective, influenced by the family's insistence on the pendant's importance, pressed Jack harder. "They claim it's a valuable family heirloom, Mr. Ridges. Can you explain that?" The weight of the family's influence was palpable, their social standing casting a long shadow over the interrogation. Richard's search led him to local veterans groups and homeless shelters. He asked about Jack, showing his photo. Richard listened, compiling these stories, hoping they would form a clearer picture of Jack and how he came to possess such a valuable pendant. As Richard delved deeper, inconsistencies in the family's story began to emerge. Their claim to the pendant, unwavering at first, now seemed fraught with holes and half-truths. Determined to aid Jack, Richard reached out to a lawyer known for championing the causes of veterans and the marginalized. This lawyer, Elena Martinez, had a reputation for her unwavering commitment to justice and her skill in navigating complex legal waters. Upon hearing Jack's story, she agreed to take on the case. Elena and Richard embarked on a meticulous journey to gather evidence. The courtroom was filled with an air of anticipation as the case commenced. Jack, accompanied by Richard and Elena, faced the family across the room. Elena began by laying out the evidence methodically. She presented Jack's side of the story, the findings from Richard's investigation, and the inconsistencies in the family's claims. The evidence painted a picture of Jack as a man wronged, his life a testament to hardship and integrity. Then it was Jack's turn to speak. He spoke of the pendant, of its significance to him, and of his life's journey. The judge, a thoughtful expression on his face, reviewed the evidence. Just when the trial seemed to be reaching its climax, the courtroom doors opened and an elderly gentleman slowly made his way to the stand. This unexpected witness, a longtime friend of the old man who had given Jack the pendant, brought a hush over the room. The witness, with a clear and steady voice, began to recount the story of Jack and the old man. It was then revealed that the pendant had indeed been a gift. The court listened intently as the witness described the moment the old man placed the pendant in Jack's hands. This revelation turned the tide of the trial. As the witness concluded his testimony, the family's motives were brought into sharp focus. The judge, having considered all the evidence and testimonies, delivered his ruling. In a firm and clear voice, he declared that the pendant rightfully belonged to Jack, recognizing it as a legitimate gift. Outside the courthouse, under the open sky, Jack and Richard shared a moment of relief and quiet triumph. Richard, looking at Jack, offered an apology for his initial doubts and actions. "I'm sorry for not believing you at first," he said earnestly. Jack, gracious and forgiving, nodded in understanding. Richard expressed his gratitude for the journey they had embarked on together, acknowledging that it had opened his eyes to the complexities of justice and the human condition. It had been more than just a legal battle. It was a journey that had broadened his understanding of empathy, compassion, and the importance of standing up for what is right. He realized that true justice was about more than just the law. It was about the human stories behind each case. The experience had left him with a deeper appreciation for the nuances of justice and a renewed commitment to making a difference where he could.